In constructivism, learning is active, which could be hands-on activities, reflective, which could be journal entries or discussions, inquiry-based, collaborative, which could be like working in groups, evolving, which means that the learning is in a cycle of assess, analyze, and evaluate, create, reflect, and act. In a constructivist classroom, students are considering knowledge and understanding to focus on the students and their thinking more than the actual lesson. In a constructivist classroom, questions are key. There's a guide to problem solving. Process is just as important as the product, and group work and collaboration is encouraged. And then there's respect for multiple intelligence. The foundational theorists behind constructivism are Jean Paget, and he believed that the learner's cognitive development played a vital role in what we learn. When you learn, you build on what you already know. His theory of cognitive child development includes schema, which is the way children organize their developing thoughts based on their life experiences, processes that allow one to determine from one stage to the next are equilibrium, assimilation, which is fitting new information to pre-existing knowledge, accommodation, which is altering pre-existing knowledge based on new information. The 4 stages of child development are sensorimotor. This is from the ages of 0 to 2, and this is when the child is learning to interact with the environment. Pre-operational is ages 2 to 6 or 7, and this is when the child begins to represent the world symbolically. Concrete operation is ages 7 to 11 or 12, and this is when the child begins to learn rules. Formal operation is 12 to adulthood. This is when adolescents can transcend a concrete situation and think about the future. John Brunner is another foundational theorist behind constructivism. He believed that people learned through an active process where they form new ideas based on their current and past knowledge. He said that there were some influences like social, cultural, and personal factors that play a role in learning and how people connect knowledge. 3 representations of learning new knowledge is inactive, which would be like playing with a book, iconic, which would be learning through images, and symbolic, which is learned through abstract symbol. He also believed in spiral learning. When the learning is exposed continually to process learning to develop deeper meaning and acquire more understanding of the knowledge, it's spiral learning. David Kolb is another theorist. He believed that experimental learning is a process of conflict and that it occurs in a cycle. The Kolb cycle consists of 4 sections. The concrete experience, which is like the actual experience. An example of this would be if you had a class meeting. Reflective observation is your initial thinking. So an example of that would be when you first walked out of the class, what you thought about the previous class meeting. Abstract conceptualization is when you really process the information. So when you get home and you go over the notes that you took, or you look through your book to see what all you covered, and you realize what you really understood and what you may did not understand. Active experimentation is how you would do things differently. So the next time you go to class, you would ask the professor more questions, or make sure that you really understand the material. Lev Vygotsky, he introduced the social aspect of learning. He created and defined zone proximal learning. This is where students solve problems beyond their actual development level, but within their level of potential development. And John Dewey's the last theorist I'm going to talk about. He believed that children were active learners and that by using the teacher as a guide, they could accomplish their own learning. He believed education should be democratic, where learners learn from others' experiences. He said that learning should be active through discovering, exploring, thinking, reflecting, and interacting with the environment surrounding real-life experiences. The differences between constructivist and traditional ideas. The curriculum emphasizes big concepts beginning with the whole and then expands to include the parts. Teachers structure lessons around big ideas, not small bits of information. This allows the students to take the big idea and find relevance of the small bits of information. How students are viewed. Students are viewed as thinkers of big ideas They are viewed as thinkers with emerging theories about the world. They can connect what they already know with the surrounding environment to what they're learning. How do students work? In groups. They have peer discussions and hand-on activities. The teacher's role: find children's current understanding and knowledge level, provide students with activities, hands-on learning, and opportunities to experiment and manipulate like things in the world. They foster higher order thinking skills. Teachers are not the only source of information. They are there to assist and guide students as they actively work to construct knowledge. Teachers can stimulate ideas and facilitate learning by a method called scaffolding, which is when a teacher carefully leads and directs a student to correct answers without giving away the answer. Assessment in constructivism: you can be assessed by the student's work, observations, tests, discussions, portfolios. Some of these examples are question to the class in a reflective discussion, question individuals while they're doing group work or individual work, taking questions from the students, having an end of the lesson assignment that will reflect what they know. This could be a journal entry, a worksheet, a quiz, or even a test. The PAR model of learning relates to the constructivist classroom because constructivism is all about active learning and the learner's thinking process. In this model of teaching, that is exactly what's going on. The learners are involved in activities to further enhance the understanding of the topic. The PAR model of learning stands for Present, Apply, and Review. During the PAR model of learning, teachers represent the topic and new information of learning to his or her students. The students then do an activity that will require them to apply this new information. After that activity, they will have some sort of review. In this review, the teachers can see how well the students understand the new information given. The PAR model includes hands-on activities, which is how students work in a constructive classroom. The teacher's role during the PAR model of teaching is just like in a constructivist classroom. They are the facilitator. The review during PAR modeling is part of the assessment. This assessment can be the same as those described about constructivist assessment, which is the students' work, observations, tests, discussions, and portfolios. A scenario for PAR model of learning. If I wanted to teach a lesson about recycling, I could use a constructivism and PAR model of learning. I would begin the lesson with asking students if they have ever heard of recycling and what they think it means. This will allow the students to connect with they know what they're going to learn with previous knowledge. I then could have the students watch a short video on recycling. This presents them with some new information on the topic. Then I would tell them to get into groups and to come up with ways we can recycle at school and at our homes. This gives them an activity that allows them to apply this information given. After the students have had time to discuss and come up with the ideas, we will have a class discussion about the ideas the groups come up with. This is the review portion of the lesson, as well as an opportunity for me to assess these students.